Scott Gecas, how are you doing today? Scott is with the Wall Trading there in Chicago. What's the mood on the floor today? I hear that there are some rumors floating around about China. So what's everybody thinking and saying today?
Well, everyone's focusing on the volatility. I mean, a big move down yesterday, a big move up today. That's definitely being reflected in all the options. Just to give you a little bit of a reference point, in the beans, we have the upside calls. They're holding a heavy skew, about a $5 premium to the puts. So that's very significant. Corn's about $3, so it's pretty much in the same range. But what we're looking at is, with the reference to China, trade war talks, we had cancellations for beans as well as corn. So that's definitely thrown into the mix. With the corn, you have a lot of different things going on in place. You have the USDA report that no one's believing, no one's buying. They're seeing reports of anywhere between 10 to 15 million acres that are unplanted. We're waiting to see what those real numbers are going to come out, whether or not we can trust those real numbers or not. I mean, everyone's very skeptical over the last two reports, so we have to wait and see. With the other factor with the corn, China's using the state reserves still, as well as the armyworm contagion is definitely spreading. It's spreading to India now, so we have that factor as well. So with everything going across the board, I mean, the volatility is elevated with very good reason.
You mentioned something earlier about the significance of that $5 skew. Why is that so significant? What does that tell us? Is there something going on behind the scenes here?
Well, the option market is definitely telling you that there's something going on that's not being reported or being reflected. So when I say that there's $5 skew to the upside, I mean, that's significant because typical skew is usually under $1. So being a $5 premium for upside calls is very significant. That means that people are willing to pay a lot more for either upside protection or upside speculation.
What's interesting about all of that is you are not the first analyst and trader here to talk to us about this, that there is something going on that isn't being reported. So there's obviously a little bit of uncertainty. I tell you what, we're going to come back. I want to get your thoughts on this livestock trade in just a moment, Scott. Scott Gecas here with us, Wall Trading, there at the edge of the trading floor. We've got more coming up in just a moment. Well, let's go back to the edge of the trading floor. Scott Gecas here with us. Cattle on feed, cattle inventory this afternoon. I think we've got a cold storage report on next week coming up sometime. So what about this cattle market? I notice here at midday, these cutout values, they are firming a little bit. Do you foresee this cattle market firming overall?
Well, it's an odd dynamic. So what we're looking at as far as the charts and the technical points, the uptrend for the last 3 days has absolutely been broken. So, but if you look back, or if you look further out to like February, there's a lot of upside volume. There's a lot of positioning expected for a bigger move up in February. Now, the cattle on feed report, that's definitely going to be in focus today. We have ranges anywhere between 93 to 105, expected about 98.2. So we're going to see how that really comes into play. But, as far as, we still have that production drop from the fourth quarter to the first quarter. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. So we have to wait until these numbers come out to get any type of directional aspect, get a little bit more traction to see which way the direction is really going to go.
Scott, our meteorologist, Christina and Tim have both been talking about all of this intense heat. And if you look at their maps, all of that intense heat goes right through the dead center of feedlot cattle country. Is anybody there at the trade talking about some of these, this heat really affecting maybe some of the weights?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. So the weights jumped. We had a big jump in the weights, about 7 pounds versus last week. That was pretty significant, but they're still off a little bit over a 5-year average. So we're definitely keeping an eye on that. But as well as with the weather in focus, with the heat in the last few days, but you're also seeing the 6 to 10 day forecast with a little bit of a drop in temperature.
Good point.
We're going to see how that's really going to affect things.
That's an excellent point. All right, Scott, hope you have a good afternoon at trading. Scott Gecas, he is with Wall Trading in Chicago, there on LaSalle Street.